Welcome back to the fun. I have no idea what the hell time it is. Let me see if my phone will tell me. It is 5:36. It has been a hellified, mosquito-filled day, and I spent most of it down here in the basement, working on projects, cleaning, editing. I got the lawn mowed today, but I wanted to test out something that I've been having problems with. This is moobz. This is the third reincarnation of moobz. I put the canopy away. Actually, I have one of these. So it had a canopy on it, sort of like this one here from the Ghost, and had the camera in it. And I was contemplating the extra weight and just a few other things. I think honestly it's coming down to the motor choice that I put on here. The KV's too low, and it doesn't like to recover after any serious power loops or anything like that. And it's not really meant for it, being that it's only a 1S, so it could be a combination of battery sag. But I think these are only 15K, 15 kV, 15,000 kV. And again, these aren't the motors that I intended to put on here, but being that the bell is really long helped the reverse prop, because I think there's a slight bevel inside the duct, so if the motor was shorter it would hit. And I'm going to test that theory a little bit later. But I was having problems with motors not spinning and all kinds of things, and it goes back to these motors. The plug, and if you can see some multicolored wires here, the plugs, the wire going into it is super soft silicone, and they were breaking, and not from any touching, not any use, just, I want to call them cheap shit. They were breaking right off at the head of where they were, the pin that goes into the plug. So I ended up having to do a total of 3 of them, and the 4th will probably be redone. But I think I'm going to change out these motors and do something with a much higher KV, which I think will help a lot with recovery. But I went with a significantly different profile with this. So this is the carbon fiber X that's supposed to go with it when it flies like this. And the rigidity of this thing is 10 times that it was before. So it's significantly stronger, as in full body. These ducts will still cave a tiny bit, but it flies great. I decided to go with the camera in the front. If it's focused, I did a tiny baby little C-notch into the frame. There is, if you can see it, there's a little brace, kind of, let's see the back here. See the back, how it's got that blue brace? I'm just gonna get my finger in there. There's a blue brace inside here. I ended up cutting, there we go. There's a little bit of glue in there, and I cut it to where it meets the back. So it fits snug. I use as much little as minimalist as glue as possible to try to save weight and get it so where it holds it really tight. That's why I went with the curve right here. And there's that super thin little dab, and then there's just a sloppy dab that I haven't cleaned up yet. Right here, just connecting the post to the back to just try to keep everything strong. And I did a test flight with it, and I hit the ground, I smashed into a couple things and stuff like that. I was hoping the deer was outside, and it works great. Doesn't have a hell of a whole lot of angle, but I don't fly with a lot of angle, and this isn't meant to be the super monster aggressive thing. I have other bigger quads for that. More of an exploratory, fun quad, and yeah, I can't complain. The foam here is to just raise up the battery just a tiny bit off of the frame, and it helps hold it in place from wiggling. And now that I have this here, I've contemplated farting around with seeing if I can get the battery on top. But then again, takeoff's a pain in the ass. This thing has to be hand launched. I decided to go and take the zip ties off just because I'm OCD, and just it worked perfect. It had zip ties that were attached to the inside brace that were wrapped around itself and then kind of poked down just a tiny bit, so it sat up like this. But eventually they're going to break, they dry out if you come down wrong. So I have been just taking this when I get it ready, and I kind of hand launch it. I give it just enough throttle to go off, or I hold the battery, and it works fine. But I'm digging. I didn't think I'd like this at first. And at first I actually really hated it, and I forgot that I had the X. Because I didn't like the exposed board. I prefer to have that covered, and that's why I went with a canopy. But once I did that, and then it had to be just slightly notched, just because the plug for my receiver sits on top, so I didn't want it touching like that. And I used different screws, just a tiny bit longer, to go through here. So yeah, literally, let me see if I can back up here. I mean, that is super tiny profile, so inch, maybe. That is super. Oh, what's on NERC? Sweet. But yeah, I'm gonna do a couple more test flights. I raised my idle air up just a tiny bit more, so when you completely throttle down in a move, and that might be it. But it might be again lack of juice from the 1S and the prop wash. It just doesn't recover, which I can play with a little bit more. But I think I'm gonna swap the motors. A little bit higher KV will help too. So let me know what you think. moobz, ever changing. I dig it. It is a cool looking kind of like turtle-ish. They definitely can go in places. You know, it's funny because I tuned it because I flew booger today outside for the first time, and I slightly adjusted the PIDs to accommodate this because it flew a little bit different, believe it or not, from the different frame. I don't know if there's different resonation within the frame and the fact that the battery is now going sideways versus long. You can feel it. So I had to tweak a little bit in the tune, and once I got it, what I thought was dialed in the basement last night, I took it outside for a rip and was stupefied how locked in this stupid little thing is. The only downfall to it is small battery, even though it's a do I have one right here? Yeah, of course I do. Best battery I've found, and if anybody else thinks they've got a killer battery, let me know. But I've been running the HV Tiny Whoop batteries, 333s. It would be nice to something in this platform to do a 400 just to get a little bit more, but these work great. I'm gonna do a couple more flights with it to give an overall battery life, and then depending on if you're beating on it or not. Like I said, I went and changed that because of how killer this thing flew, and I'll get some footage of that. I'm backlogged with freaking videos. I've got like 4 or 5 private on YouTube, some going back well over a month, that I'm trying to filter in because I did a couple videos at the brewery spot. I just did 2 edits today from the whoop footage I got from vacation, so I got to filter that in, and I don't want to do them back to back and bore you guys with that. And then my 2 favorite edits that I've done in the woods, I still have sitting, and I can't wait to show you those. Those came out super, super cool, and I think you guys will enjoy the living hell out of them. You know me and my cinematic stuff. But yeah, so again, look at this. This thing, super, super low profile also. I dig the look of these a lot. I'm so happy that I got a green frame in my 2 colors, green and blue. So yeah, like the twins. This thing, I went freaking screaming underneath my car from my car to my wife's with no hesitation of worrying about hitting anything under the suspension because of how low. So I was getting more risky. The only downfall to this setup is, oh man, I'm stuffy from mowing the lawn, is the camera is definitely in danger of getting hit, and for $15 it's not the end of the world. I don't know if this is picking it up. There are some scratches and stuff I got on it, but you can't see them through the raw ugliness that is, you know, non-HD. So I'll leave it the way it is. But if you're looking for something that you can fly in the house, you can fly outside in mild wind, and in acro if you prefer, this thing, these style builds are the way to go. The entire house, yeah, a whoop is small, and a lot of them have canopies, so you're still a little bit thicker. Where this thing, it's amazing what gaps I couldn't shoot before, now I can, or now I'm looking for those. I've talked about, and I made a post, that we've been having deer in our yard every day, except for today, because I've been ready and charged, of course. A mother and one of its babies, and the father every once in a while. But my goal is to fly underneath the deer. Hopefully it won't be bothered by this little thing ripping around, or even notice it and try to shoot that. But the cats are so, like the wife and the kids, are so used to me flying around the house and super close to them that nobody even pays attention anymore. So I'm gonna see if I can fly underneath one of the cats, see what kind of hijinks I can get into. But I think I gotta start dinner. It's been really quiet upstairs. That means the kids are getting in trouble. So let me know what you think. If you're into the pusher or considering doing a pusher, let me bring that up. There's 2 different ways you can do it. This one, I left the board in the proper position, as in this is the bottom of the board, which does expose the wires, but you're not coming in like a real airplane, so it's not like these are getting scraped. They come in, somebody catches it, I land on my wife's chest, LOL. You know, safer landings with these. I usually land on myself too, so I'm not worried about the wires, and I did put a little piece of foam. But again, it doesn't weigh much, so, but this one is opposite. The board is, I'm sorry, what am I talking about? They're both the same way. I'm a dope. I put the board on the bottom, which is the top. So I did it that way because there's no posts on this one to do it this way. And with the battery bay, this one has posts on both sides. See the post there? Yeah, it's a good shot. Look at that. So you can run it either way. So it is in the proper location. But if you wanted to, you can flip the board, and then in Betaflight you can flip stuff and change the motor orientation or assignment, and you can do it that way. But what I was trying to say is there are multiple ways, and the way that I choose to do them without having to flip stuff around is just leave the motors, the little ports and stuff on the bottom, and it's just basically plug and play. The only thing that you have to do is change the direction, so that will change. So when you when you have it this way, the motor obviously spins in one direction. When you flip it upside down, it no longer is spinning in the right way. So when you see in Betaflight the little X, it shows which ways the motors are spinning, and when you reverse it, it reverses it. You just have to make sure when you flip, so the motor that is normally here upright actually goes over here facing down, because unless you want to change the pins in the plug, you know, if it's counterclockwise, then it's clockwise upside down. So you just have to make sure you flip-flop the motors around. It's easier than my confusing ass is making it sound. If you do it wrong or get yourself confused, it becomes a pain in the ass, and then you get overwhelmed and walk away and throw stuff. That's what happened with this one, is I just forgot when I started building it. You know, motor one is motor one, but it's wired to spin one way, and then forgot. So I ended up putting the wrong motor on, and then I just started playing with the pins until I got it right, and it just confused the crap out of myself. That's what I get for not having caffeine when I start. But it's all good now, and moobz is a kick-ass, very low-profile pusher, which I think is badass. And it's got like a skid plate on the top, which is cool. So yeah, let me know what you think. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Trap tomorrow. It's supposed to be beautiful. It's been a little warmer today and humid, but I guess we can't complain. It's not snowing, and that's definitely on the way. And obviously, stay tuned. Brian and I will be getting out more into the woods as the foliage starts to turn here. The acorns are already dropping pretty heavy, so that means the leaf change is coming soon, and that's our favorite thing to do, is fly in the trees with the leaves all starting to change and stuff. So I'm done rambling. You guys stay safe, inspire creativity, have fun.